Hey everybody, Mark Allen. Welcome to Shed Talks. This is a place where we can talk about the great moments, but that's only half of it. I have to talk about some of the other moments where things in my racing, things in my career just didn't go the way I had hoped they would. Some of those difficult times, the difficult races, they can be so bad that you just are left with absolutely no emotional energy when you're done with it, because you put absolutely everything you had into the race, and it still didn't turn out the way you'd hoped. One of those years for me was 1987. This was my fifth Ironman. I felt like I was ready to win it. I had gotten second already, and I was hoping that I would be able to beat that guy that was always winning, Dave Scott. I did a lot of training that year, but please do not ever confuse doing a lot with doing the right. Two different worlds. But anyway, I went into the race pretty confident, knowing that probably Dave Scott had not done the same kind of training that I had. Huge volumes went into my logbook. At the marathon, we were very close to each other. The half marathon point, we were running together, and we pulled away from the last person who had been ahead of us. I was feeling good, and I thought, okay, this is it. I upped my pace to close to 6-minute mile, and Dave Scott, my greatest friend, one of the greatest friends I have now, but also one of the greatest rivals I ever had in my career, began to fall back. And with 10 miles to go in the marathon, I was told that I had a 5-minute lead on him. And I thought, I have this. This is my fifth Ironman. I've got 5 minutes of buffer on Dave Scott. I'm pulling away. 10 miles is really not that far to run to just get that victory. That's when it fell apart. I made the turn. Back then it was a straight 10-mile stretch all the way back from the turnaround at the far point of the marathon to the finish line. A very, very long stretch. You were way out past the airport. It was like you were on another planet. I made the turn. I started to feel my energy fade, and I thought, oh no, what can I do? The next aid station, I got some extra food, some extra sport drink, a little extra water. I took a little more time through it. It had absolutely no effect on my energy levels. The next aid station, with about 8 miles to go, I walked through it because that's about all I could do. And nothing that I was taking in was helping get my energy back. And I just knew it was a matter of time. Dave Scott was going to catch me. I would be walking. A few miles later, I discovered something even worse was going on. I found out that I was bleeding internally. I finished. Dave Scott did pass me. I lasted till about mile 23 and a half, something like that. He passed me running. I was walking. There was nothing I could do about it. I ended up having to go to the hospital. I spent the night in the hospital after that race. I thought I'd done what I needed to win it. Now I'm completely out of it. The doctors are trying to find out where I'm bleeding inside in my intestines, in my stomach. I had tubes going down me and up me in every corner they could find. They said, if this doesn't stop by the morning, we're going to have to cut you open and find out where it's happening. Fortunately, it did stop. But I could not eat. All I could do was be hooked up to the IV. After an Ironman, you need to eat. You need to refuel. Your body is burning like a furnace. A few days later, I looked like I had been in a concentration camp. All the bones were showing on my chest. I really hadn't been able to eat. The worst part, though, was emotionally I was completely devastated. I thought I'd done what it was going to take to win. I didn't. I ended up in the hospital. My body was completely broken down, and emotionally there was nothing left inside. I had no idea. I couldn't even ask the question, should I go back? I was too stuck in my devastation, that disappointment of thinking that I could be the victor. Have you had these moments? Have you had those times where you felt like you did the work for some form of greatness, whether it's sports or in your work, or maybe taking your relationship to a new level, and it falls completely short, not just a little bit, but to the point where you are so completely emotionally just spent that you can't even think about picking up the pieces and trying one more time? That was where I was at. 5 Ironmans, devastating time in the hospital. There would be a silver lining to this. The next year, I was just numb. I was completely emotionally numb because I couldn't get unstuck. I was still too attached to what had just happened. There would come a day after 1988, my sixth Ironman, where I did have enough distance from this race 2 years earlier to really reflect and look back and see what it was that I needed to learn from that experience and how it was going to help me in the future. 2 years. It took 2 years to get that distance. So if you're stuck, if you feel like you're in that disappointing state, maybe you had a bad race or bad whatever, and you can't let it go, it might take time, but eventually it will come. What it is that experience is going to help you in your life to have better experiences in the future. I'll tell some of those stories the next time. For Shed Talks, I'm Mark Allen. Thanks for tuning in.